All right, here we go. The fourth video in the starter deck series. We're going to be taking a look at the Riders of Rohan. Oh, Rohan, you never quite figured out what the heck you were doing in this game, and it's a shame. So let's see what Caleb decided to do with the Rohan trait. I see he decided to pick 2 Gondor heroes. Well, 1.5. And that's why I'm using the Gondor playmat and not my Éowyn versus Witch King playmat. It's definitely not because I forgot to swap my playmats out and then was super disappointed when I realized it as soon as I finished recording the video. No, that's definitely not the reason. Let's take a look at Ethereal. 8 threat, spirit, 3 willpower, 1/1, 3 hit points. She's Gondor and noble, but if Éomer is in play, Ethereal gains the Rohan trait because they end up getting married if you've read the books. Okay, response. After Ethereal commits to a quest, choose an ally in your hand. If that ally shares a trait with her, put that ally in play, exhausted and committed to the quest. At the end of the phase, if that ally is still in play, shuffle it into your deck. So you would do this in the quest phase after you've committed all your characters to the quest. So that's a little different because you're putting allies in play during the quest phase instead of the planning phase. We also have Éomer. He's amazing. I love Éomer. Tactics, 10 threat, 1/3, 2/4, Rohan Noble Warrior. Response, after a character leaves play, Éomer gets +2 attack until the end of the round. Limit, once per round. So you can see the synergy there. Ethereal puts this ally in play, committed to the quest, then it leaves. Éomer now is attacking for 5. So that works really well, and it's very fun, but there's a problem with it, which I will get into when we start playing. Let's take a look at the third hero, and this is just a 100% Gondor hero. Yes, he does deliver the red arrow to Rohan in the hopes that Rohan will help Gondor. Hirgan, he's 9 threat, 2/2, 1/4. Gondor, scout, response. After Hirgan quests successfully, play a tactics ally from your hand, reducing its cost by 1 to a minimum of 1. Then you may raise your threat by 1 to give that ally +1 attack and +1 defense until the end of the round. So another strange time to have an ally enter play. That's why I think this is the most complicated of the 4 decks. It definitely has some weird timing going on. For my hand, I am adding 3 allies because I want to be able to talk about them just because they also have some weird timing going on. And to be honest, when you're drawing your opening hand, when you're getting your mulligan, you're looking for allies. There's also another card you're really looking for, but allies you want to look for, make sure you're paying attention to ones that say when you play it from your hand, like the West Road Traveler, versus ones like the Westfold Horsebreeder, who says when they enter play. So with Ethereal, it's important to remember the distinction between playing it from your hand versus when they enter play if they have some sort of effect. We have a very respectable starting threat, 27. That's fine. That's really good. And there's a lot of willpower on the table just between Ethereal and Hirgan. So as far as a hero lineup goes, this is fine. I think a lot of people have played this hero lineup, and it's really good. It's just, to me, strange. It's a Rohan deck, and you have 2 Gondor heroes. But okay, so my opening hand, I did find Firefoot, so that's what I was hoping the Horsebreeder would find for me. So I'm going to keep the 3 cards that I drew randomly. So this is a fine opening hand, but I did not get Horn of the Mark. So that's the first thing I want to talk about before we get going here. The problem with Rohan has always been trying to maintain your board state. They developed Rohan so the allies would come and play, and then you discard them to your discard pile for some effect. And that means you're continuously losing allies, and unlike Sylvans, they're not coming back to your hand. So Horn of the Mark lets you draw a card when a character leaves play. Okay, that's fine. That's great. So it's continuous card draw as long as it's in play, but it has to be in play, and there's only 2 in this deck. So I mean, the very first thing I would do if I was doing some deck building is get that 3rd copy that is also included with this deck and just put it in the deck. I mean, you need 3. It's so important. I didn't include it in my opening hand because it's not confusing or anything. It just is a really important card. You should try to find it. The other problem with Rohan is the allies are pretty expensive, and the effects they give you, it's sometimes really hard to justify the cost. I mean, you pay a certain amount for these allies, and then the effect you get for getting rid of them is really not worth it. And then The third problem with this Rohan deck is I think Caleb had some restrictions about what cards he could include, and the LOTR Saga Deluxe boxes really include some awesome Rohan cards, and I don't think he was able to include them. And the best Rohan decks I have built and the best Rohan decks I have seen have included cards from the Saga sets. So this Rohan deck, I think, is going to struggle, but I think in multiplayer, it'll do absolutely fine. But in solo, I think you're going to run into some problems, and we will probably see those in my game. All right, let's get to the game. All right, Passage Through Mirkwood. You know how this quest works. We got those cards up in staging, and we draw Eomun. So, I mean, great ally, 3 costs, 2 willpower. When he leaves play, you ready all Rohan characters. But, you know, I mean, spending 3 to put him in is expensive. If you use Ethereal, you pop the Rohan characters back up. So, I mean, I guess that's good. But putting these allies in and then having them get shuffled into your deck when you have no way of drawing a card to replace them is frustrating, because you start to run out of cards to do that. So you need to have card draw. All right, I'm going to put in this Westfold Horse Breeder. That's to find Firefoot, but I already have Firefoot in my hand. You get to look at your top 10 cards, and if there's a mount, you get to add it to your hand. And this deck does not have many mounts. There's the horn, so that was 5 down. But with no card draw in my hand, that would have taken 5 turns to find, because I have nothing to help me draw cards. So hopefully the shuffle is a good one, and the Horn of the Mark or some Ancient Matham are near the top of the deck. Something. I mean, I'm going to be top decking this whole game, and that makes for a very, very slow game. And again, I want to reiterate, there are Rohan cards that solve this problem. Guthwini, it's a sword. Gambling, we just don't have access to those cards with this deck. So you can take this deck, add a few cards to it, and you will get the card draw. And I'm looking forward to deck building with this deck to make it a little better. All right, I'm going to send 6 on the quest. I am not going to pop in any of these allies with Ethereal, mainly because I don't need to. I'm questing for enough. I'm hoping to quest successfully so I can use Hirgon's ability. We get the 2-threat Dol Guldur Orcs, deal 2 damage to a character committed to the quest. Okay, I could kill the Horse Breeder, or I could put 2 damage on Hirgon. I guess I'll put it on Hirgon. There's no healing in this deck, so it's a little dangerous to get too much damage on him. And we did quest successfully, so right now we quested successfully. So this is a timing thing. So before placing the progress, we have determined we quested successfully by comparing willpower to threat. And now I can pop in an ally that is tactics for 1 less. So those are my 2 choices. I'm going to put in Gufloff. He costs 3, but 1 less if you have a Rohan hero. So he's only going to cost me 2, and then Hirgon's going to make him cost 1. And then if you have a Gondor hero, he gets Sentinel. That doesn't matter. But I'm hoping he can defend the Spider or the Orcs. I could raise my threat by 1 with Hirgon's ability and make it so he's 3 defense. But in addition to no healing or card draw, there's also no threat reduction in this deck. So I don't really want to raise my threat. So let's just leave him at 2, and hopefully he doesn't die. Let's put our 1 progress on the quest, and then if we had a character in play from Ethereal's ability, this is when you would shuffle it in. Now travel phase. So we're going to travel Old Forest Road and ready a hero. I guess it will be Hirgon. And in addition to no healing, card draw, or threat reduction, you also don't have a good defender. So let's have Gufloff defend here. He could take a damage. That's good to see that go away. So he takes, I mean, he was taking 1 for sure, but he could have died, I meant to say. And then the Orcs, well, Hirgon only has 1 defense, so he could die. And I don't want to take it undefended because there is shadows that make undefended attacks a lot worse. So I think I'm going to have Éomer defend, unfortunately. I could play Feint. I just want to save the resource for when I really need it. I have an option to defend with. So defending, player discards an attachment. No problem. I haven't drawn anything. How frustrating would that have been if I had played the Horn of the Mark? Okay, Hirgon can attack for 2 and deal 2 out of the 3 damage to the Dol Guldur Orcs. And we will go into the next round. So without a doubt, this is the hardest deck to play. It's going to be the hardest deck to get wins with. These decks are always pretty hard to pilot, to be honest. We did get the escort from Ethereal, so when he commits to the quest, he basically commits for 4, so that's good. All right, let's play Firefoot. You attach it to a tactics hero or Rohan. Attached hero gets +1 attack, +2 if it's Éomer. And then after the attached character attacks alone, any excess damage dealt from that attack tramples over to another enemy you're engaged with. It's extremely fun. I love Firefoot on Éomer. And this is a great round to power Éomer up because we are currently engaged with 2 enemies. So let's commit to the quest. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to send nobody else. And then Ethereal is going to put in the escort from Ethereal. And then the escort from Ethereal gets +2 willpower, but then forced, after resolving a quest to which escort from Ethereal was committed, discard escort from Ethereal from play. That happens before the end of the phase. So the escort from Ethereal will leave play before Ethereal can shuffle it back into your deck. All right, we revealed 2 threat. So we quested successfully, but I did not send Hirgan, so I can't put in an ally anyway. We clear the active location. We're going to make some progress. And then that's the quest resolving. So we discard the escort from Ethereal, and then we move on to the travel phase. We need to exhaust a hero to travel there, so I'll exhaust Hirgan, then we travel. And then we have 2 attacks coming. Now I'm going to play Feint because I really only have 1 defender. So let's feint the spider, so no attack there. They're both attacking for 2. And then I have to hope Guflof can handle this attack. And there's no shadow. Okay, great. All right, Quick Strike would be amazing. Quick Strike with Éomer would have killed both these guys because you could have declared him as an attacker before the attack. I put that token on Éomer to say a character left play. So he has 3 attacks. Someone leaving play gives him 2. Firefoot gives him 2. He's attacking for 7. He's going to attack the Dol Guldur orcs, and then 6 extra damage spills over and kills the forest spider. And its shadow was discard an attachment. So I would have lost Firefoot if I had just guessed unlucky and defended the spider instead of the orcs. So glad that didn't happen. That would have ruined my plan and made me sad. All right, let's go into the next round. All right, I paid for that feint, and we get Gandalf. Can't afford him yet. So I have 4 allies in hand, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. If I use Ethereal's ability to pop one of these in, now I'm down to 3 cards. You just don't have any options if you don't have Horn of the Mark. I'm not replenishing my hand. If I had Horn of the Mark, I wouldn't care if I was using Ethereal's ability every round because I would be getting a new card into my hand to do something with, but I would just be slowly depleting my hand. So I'm not in any trouble as far as getting overrun by enemies. So let's just send the heroes. I'm going to send 5, and we reveal, I think this is driven by fear? Nope, driven by shadow. I almost had it memorized. It surges because there's nothing in the staging area. Discard all events in your hand. Well, joke's on you. I'm playing Rohan, so I don't have anything in my hand. So that adds no threat, and we're going to put the 2 progress on the active location, and then 3 progress on the quest, but because I quested successfully, I can use Hirgan. So let's put in the Westfold Lancer for 2, and then he has an ability that you can discard him after he quested successfully to deal 2 damage to an enemy up in staging. That avoids defense. It's direct damage, so it just is direct damage to an enemy. Great for taking out a goblin sniper. Okay, next round, raising our threat, and let's see what we get. Come on, give me something good. Give me something useful. This is a pretty fun card. So it's Oath of Errol, and you have to have a unique character with the Rohan trait and a unique character with the Gondor trait. And then at the beginning of the combat phase, spend 3 tactics resources, and then you get to declare all your attacks. So it's not a single character attacking like Quick Strike. It's everybody can attack, and it's a great way to handle a lot of enemies engaged with you. So that could be fun against Ungoliant Spawn here. So maybe we'll get to use that card at the end of the game. And yeah, I think I will just do the same thing. Quest for 5, not use Ethereal's ability. All right, cool. Whoa, it bit me. Ouch. Okay, King Spider. When revealed, we need to exhaust a character we control. I will exhaust the Horse Breeder. She's not doing anything. We advance. Stage 2. Okay. Let's get engaged by a King Spider. It's going to be attacking for 3. And as I said earlier, there is no good defensive options in this deck, so I think Guflof will have to defend this. So he will be defending for 2 against 3, and he only has 1 hit point remaining, so yeah, he's going to die. All right, and the shadow is caught in a web. That was a good one to get rid of. So Goofloth is dead, and we can definitely swing back because Éomer just got boosted from him leaving play, so that is a dead spider. And yeah, you know, I mean, we're quite a few rounds into this game, and I only have 3 cards on the table, and I only have 3 cards in my hand. So that's what's tough about Rohan, guys. I keep saying it. And so if you're playing it, it's not you. It's a tough deck to play. You got to really play smart. Okay, we drew the second escort from Ethereal, so we can do a massive willpower push if we needed to. I could put Gandalf into play, but it feels like a waste. I'd rather play him when Ungoliant Spawn is already in play. He could do 4 damage to her, and we're at 31 threat, so we're not going to have to engage Ungoliant Spawn this round, as long as we quest successfully. So to help us quest, let's play Éomer, 2 willpower, he costs 3, and then if he leaves play, ready all Rohan characters. I only need to make 2 progress, so let's just send enough characters to make the progress, and I don't want anyone to die from Necromancer's Reach, so that's 7, that should be plenty. 7 against nothing, and Necromancer's Reach, of course. So there we go. Let's deal a damage to everybody that's exhausted, and we definitely made 2 progress, and now we're going to advance to stage 3, and once again, I'm going to choose the one of Ungoliant Spawn versus the one where I just need to make 10 progress. Let's talk about the Westfold Lancer's response for a moment. The Westfold Lancer can only target non-unique enemies, and he also says, after he quests successfully, discard him. This happens before you place the progress. You determine your willpower is greater than the threat, and then that's when you can discard him from play, and then you would place the progress. And even though he left play before you place the progress, you actually keep your willpower value the same, and if you happen to destroy an enemy, you also don't get less threat in staging because of that. That is super confusing. We were actually talking about it on the Discord to make sure I got it right, but we're pretty sure that's how it works. So you determine that you quested successfully, and then whatever that difference was, that's how much progress you place, even if you trigger the Westfold Lancer's response and he leaves play, and even if he kills an enemy. Whatever that value was, when you determine you quested successfully, that is the value of the progress tokens placed. We don't need to engage Ungoliant Spawn, 31 threat to her 32. Wow. So we drew Horn of the Mark, which I think ended up being like the 5th card. I mean, remember how I said it would take 5 turns to draw it? I think that's where it ended up getting shuffled into the deck anyway. So after a character leaves play, you exhaust it to draw a card. It's really good. It's really, really good. I highly recommend if you get this Rohan deck, just grab that 3rd copy and put it in there. You can drop a card if you want, maybe one of the more expensive Tactics allies, but it's definitely a 3-of. I'm very surprised the pre-built deck doesn't have 3 copies of it. Unfortunately, I am 1 resource short from playing Gandalf and Oath of Errol, so I'm deciding which one I want to do. Oath of Errol is a new card and it's more fun, so let's make sure we save 3 Tactics resources for that. We're going to send Ethereal, and then we'll also have the escort from Ethereal come in from our hand. Exhausted, committed to the quest for 4, so that is a total of 7 against 3. I don't care if I make any progress. And we get a, alright, just Mountains of Mirkwood 2 threat location. No problem. So we do make a couple progress, and then the escort from Ethereal goes in our discard pile. It's going to boost Éomer, and it looks like I forgot and I shuffled it in thinking I was discarding it to Ethereal's ability. Not going to matter. Horn of the Mark is also going to trigger, so I get to exhaust that and draw a card. So the card we get with Horn of the Mark is another Lancer. Okay, now we're going to engage Ungoliant Spawn, and we will play the Oath of Errol. So the Oath of Errol lets me declare attackers against the enemy before they attack me. So that's very fun. So it costs 3 Tactics resources, and I can declare all my attackers. So once everybody kicks in together, that's 11, that's a dead spider, that's a victory. So Rohan did it. All right, let's look through the deck. What other cards were there? So this is a fun one, the Mustering of Rohan. It costs 4, but then every Rohan hero is considered to have the spirit resource, and then you get to look at the top 10 cards of your deck, put up to 4 allies in, and then at the end of the round, you discard all those allies from play. That's pretty awesome. We also have 4th Aerolingus. It's a combat action event that lets your heroes attack up into the staging area. So that's pretty awesome with Eomer and Firefoot, because if you're engaged with an enemy, you can attack up into the staging area and then trample any enemies you're engaged with before the enemy you're engaged with attacks, because it's a combat action. The red arrow, that's a 1-of per deck. The attached hero gets +1 willpower, and then it lets you search your deck for an ally. This is an event that lets you find an enemy and put it engaged with you, but then you don't need to reveal a card in the quest phase. That's pretty fun. That's a really expensive core set ally. That's probably the one I would cut for my third copy of the Horn. A War Axe, sounds like I say Lorax. That's a pretty good attachment. Yeah, okay. So that's the Rohan deck. It's, in my opinion, the weakest of the 4. It's got some good cards, but it needs some work, and it's definitely going to struggle against certain quests. You're just going to find the lack of card draw pretty severe if you don't get that Horn of the Mark out quickly. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye. I mean, for goodness sakes, the playmat was literally right here.